I'm about to share something deeply personal that nearly destroyed me at 71 years old. And if you've recently lost a spouse or are caring for someone who has, you need to hear this. I made 7 critical mistakes in the year after my wife died that pushed me to the edge of total collapse, emotionally, physically, financially, and socially. I know grief is universal, and everyone processes loss differently. But these weren't just grief. These were specific, avoidable mistakes that made everything infinitely worse. That's what I thought grief was supposed to feel like. Overwhelming, all-consuming, endless. But I'm Robert Lawson. I'm 71 years old. I live in Miami, Florida. And 13 months ago, my wife Margaret died suddenly from a brain aneurysm at age 69. We'd been married 48 years. In the year after her death, I made 7 mistakes that nearly killed me. I lost 35 pounds, stopped seeing friends completely, made terrible financial decisions, ignored my health until I ended up hospitalized, isolated myself so severely I didn't speak to anyone for weeks at a time, and came dangerously close to giving up entirely. Today, 13 months later, I'm finally emerging from that darkness, and I want to share the 7 specific mistakes I made, why they were so destructive, what I should have done instead, and how I'm rebuilding my life. If you've lost a spouse, or know someone who has, understanding these mistakes could literally save a life. Let me tell you what happened. My name is Robert Lawson. Most people call me Rob. I'm 71 years old, and I live in Miami, Florida, specifically in the Coral Gables neighborhood near the University of Miami. I've lived here for 34 years. Margaret and I moved from Illinois when I retired from my career as an accountant. We fell in love with Miami immediately. The beautiful weather year-round, the Art Deco architecture in South Beach, the Venetian pool in Coral Gables, Vizcaya Museum and Gardens, the Wynwood Walls Art District, incredible Cuban food in Little Havana, the Miami Seaquarium, Bayside Marketplace on Biscayne Bay. We bought a 3-bedroom house with a small pool in a quiet tree-lined neighborhood. Margaret and I had wonderful years here. Morning walks through Matheson Hammock Park, afternoons at Fairchild Tropical Botanic Garden, dinners at Versailles Restaurant or Garcia's Seafood Grill, weekend drives to the Keys or the Everglades. Margaret died 13 months ago, March 15th of last year. She was 69 years old. We'd been married 48 years. She died suddenly and without warning. A brain aneurysm ruptured while she was reading on our porch one Saturday afternoon. I was inside making lunch. I heard a crash, ran outside, and found her unconscious. I called 911 immediately. Paramedics arrived within 7 minutes and rushed her to Jackson Memorial Hospital. She never regained consciousness. She died 3 hours later in the ICU with me holding her hand. The doctor said it was instant. She felt nothing. There was nothing anyone could have done. That was supposed to comfort me. It didn't. In the year that followed Margaret's death, I made 7 critical mistakes that nearly destroyed me. I'm sharing them not for sympathy, but because if even one person who's grieving reads this and avoids these mistakes, Margaret's death will have meaning beyond my personal loss. Let me share what I did wrong. Mistake 1. I isolated myself completely from friends and family. The first and most destructive mistake was cutting off all contact with friends and family. In the weeks immediately after Margaret died, friends and family were incredibly supportive. They brought food, called constantly, visited, offered help. But I found their presence unbearable. Every conversation required me to talk about Margaret's death, accept condolences, pretend I was okay when I wasn't. It was exhausting, so I started avoiding everyone. I stopped answering phone calls. I didn't respond to texts. When friends knocked on my door, I pretended I wasn't home. Within 2 months, everyone stopped trying. I was completely alone. I told myself I needed solitude to grieve. But isolation isn't grief, it's depression. Days would pass where I didn't speak to another human being. I'd go an entire week without leaving my house. The silence was suffocating. I'd sit in Margaret's favorite chair for hours doing nothing, not reading, not watching TV, just staring. The loneliness was crushing, but I'd pushed everyone away so thoroughly that I didn't know how to reconnect. Research shows isolation after spousal loss dramatically increases mortality risk. A 2019 study in JAMA Internal Medicine found that social isolation in widowed older adults increased death risk by 45% within the first year. Another study found that isolated grieving individuals had significantly higher rates of depression, cognitive decline, and physical health deterioration. What I should have done: accept help. Let people be present even when it's uncomfortable. Join a grief support group. There's an excellent one at Kendall Baptist Church that I eventually found. Stay connected, even minimally. 1 phone call weekly, 1 coffee meeting monthly. Isolation feels protective, but it's actually destructive. Mistake 2. I stopped taking care of my physical health. The second mistake was completely neglecting my physical health. Before Margaret died, I was relatively healthy. I walked daily, ate reasonably well, took my blood pressure and cholesterol medications regularly. After she died, I stopped all of it. I stopped walking. I ate almost nothing, maybe 1 meal daily, usually just cereal or a sandwich. I lost 35 pounds in 4 months, from 182 pounds to 147 pounds at 5'10". I stopped taking my medications regularly. I didn't go to doctor appointments. I stopped caring about my health completely. 6 months after Margaret died, I collapsed at home. A neighbor I hadn't spoken to in months happened to see me through the window, lying on the floor, and called 911. I was hospitalized for 5 days, severe dehydration, malnutrition, dangerously high blood pressure, 198/104, and early kidney problems. Dr. Samuel Ortiz at Baptist Hospital told me bluntly, "Mr. Lawson, you're killing yourself. Grief is understandable, but what you're doing is self-destruction. If you don't start taking care of yourself, you won't survive another 6 months." Research confirms health neglect after spousal loss is extremely dangerous. A 2016 study in health psychology found that widowed individuals who neglected health behaviors had 3 times higher mortality risk in the first year. Another study found that bereaved spouses who stopped taking medications had significantly increased cardiovascular events. What I should have done: maintain basic health routines even when motivation is 0. Set medication alarms. Ask a friend or family member to check in weekly about health basics. Attend all doctor appointments. My doctor could have intervened much earlier. Grief doesn't excuse self-destruction. Mistake 3. I made major financial decisions while emotionally devastated. The third mistake was making significant financial decisions while emotionally devastated and not thinking clearly. 3 months after Margaret died, I was overwhelmed by the house. It felt too big, too empty, too full of memories. A real estate agent who'd sent condolence cards started calling, suggesting I sell. In my devastated state, it seemed logical. Get rid of the painful memories. Start fresh somewhere smaller. I listed the house and accepted an offer within 3 weeks. $385,000 for a house worth at least $450,000 in Coral Gables' market. I was so desperate to escape, I didn't even negotiate. I also made poor decisions about Margaret's life insurance. We'd had a $200,000 policy. A financial advisor, someone I barely knew, approached me at Margaret's memorial service and later convinced me to invest a large portion in a high-risk annuity that locked up the money for years and came with enormous fees. I signed papers without reading them carefully, without getting second opinions, without thinking clearly. Research strongly advises against major decisions in the first year of grief. Financial advisors universally recommend waiting at least 12-18 months before selling homes, making large investments, or changing living situations. Grief impairs judgment dramatically. What I should have done: wait. Make no major financial decisions for at least 1 year. Consult multiple advisors. Have a trusted friend or family member review any financial documents before signing. I lost probably $80,000, $100,000 through rushed, poor decisions I now deeply regret. Mistake 4. I refused professional help and grief counseling. The fourth mistake was stubbornly refusing professional help. Multiple friends suggested grief counseling. My daughter, who lives in Orlando, begged me to see a therapist. My doctor referred me to a psychiatrist. I refused everything. I told myself I could handle it alone, that I didn't need help, that talking to a stranger wouldn't bring Margaret back, that therapy was for people weaker than me. This was arrogant and stupid. 8 months after Margaret died, I was having suicidal thoughts. Not active plans, but persistent thoughts that life wasn't worth living without Margaret, that I'd be better off dead, that 71 was old enough. One night, I sat in my car in the garage with the engine running. I sat there for 20 minutes before my daughter called, randomly, coincidentally, and that call snapped me out of it. The next day, I finally started therapy. I found Dr. Patricia Ramirez, a grief counselor in Coral Gables on Ponce de Leon Boulevard. I've been seeing her weekly for 5 months now. Therapy has been transformative, not because it erased grief, but because it gave me tools to process grief without being destroyed by it. Research overwhelmingly supports professional help after spousal loss. A 2018 study in Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology found that grief counseling reduced depression by 40% and complicated grief by 50% in bereaved spouses. Another study found that therapy significantly reduced suicide risk in widowed older adults. What I should have done: accept help immediately. Start therapy within the first month. Join support groups. Recognize that grief is a process requiring support, not something to endure alone. Mistake 5. I avoided dealing with Margaret's belongings. The fifth mistake was avoiding dealing with Margaret's belongings for months. Her clothes still hung in the closet. Her toiletries sat on the bathroom counter. Her reading glasses remained on the nightstand where she'd left them that Saturday. Her car sat unused in the garage. I couldn't touch anything. Walking past her things was agonizing, but dealing with them felt like erasing her. For 9 months, I lived in a house that was essentially a shrine to Margaret. It made moving forward impossible. Every room triggered memories. I was trapped in the past. Finally, with help from my daughter and my therapist, I slowly began sorting through things. It was brutally painful, but necessary. What I should have done: start gradually after 2 to 3 months. Don't rush, but don't avoid indefinitely. Ask family or friends to help. Donate items to meaningful charities. I donated Margaret's clothes to the Miami Rescue Mission, her books to the Coral Gables Library. Keep meaningful items, but don't preserve everything as a museum. Mistake 6. I tried to numb pain with alcohol. The sixth mistake was using alcohol to numb emotional pain. I'd never been a heavy drinker, maybe a beer or 2 weekly. After Margaret died, I started drinking every night. A glass of wine at dinner became 2, then 3, then half a bottle. It helped me sleep, helped silence the thoughts, helped numb the pain temporarily. Within 6 months, I was drinking an entire bottle of wine nightly, sometimes more. My hospitalization 6 months after Margaret's death included elevated liver enzymes. Dr. Ortiz confronted me about alcohol use. I admitted the drinking. He said, "Rob, you're developing a serious problem. Alcohol isn't helping you grieve. It's preventing you from grieving. It's also destroying your liver and increasing your depression. You need to stop immediately." I stopped cold turkey that day. It was difficult. The first weeks without alcohol, the pain came roaring back. But with therapy, I learned healthier coping mechanisms. Research shows alcohol abuse is extremely common in bereaved spouses and extremely dangerous. A 2017 study found that 25% of widowed older adults develop problematic alcohol use within the first year. Alcohol significantly worsens depression and increases suicide risk. What I should have done: avoid alcohol completely or limit strictly. Recognize that numbing isn't healing. Find healthy coping mechanisms: therapy, support groups, exercise, meaningful activities. Mistake 7. I stopped doing everything I enjoyed. The 7th mistake was stopping all activities I'd previously enjoyed. Margaret and I used to walk together at Matheson Hammock Park every morning. After she died, I stopped. Walking alone felt wrong. We'd gone to dinner at Versailles Restaurant every Friday night. I stopped going entirely. We'd attended concerts at the Adrienne Arsht Center. I stopped. We'd visited Fairchild Tropical Botanic Garden regularly. I never returned. I'd been part of a weekly poker group with guys from my old accounting firm. I stopped attending. Everything we'd done together felt impossible to do alone. But I also stopped things I'd enjoyed independently. Reading, which I'd always loved, felt pointless. Watching sports, which I'd enjoyed, felt meaningless. I stopped living entirely. The newspapers piled up unread on my driveway. My Miami Heat season tickets went unused. My fishing rod, something I'd enjoyed since childhood, sat untouched in the garage. I'd been an avid reader my entire life, subscribed to the Miami Herald for 30 years, always had a book on my nightstand. After Margaret died, I couldn't focus on a single page. The words blurred together. Nothing held meaning anymore. Research shows that bereaved individuals who abandon all enjoyable activities experience significantly worse outcomes. A 2020 study in death studies found that widowed adults who stopped all leisure activities had 60% higher rates of complicated grief and clinical depression. Maintaining even minimal engagement with previously enjoyed activities, even when they feel meaningless, provides crucial structure and helps prevent total collapse into depression. What I should have done: slowly, gently, return to enjoyable activities even when motivation is absent. Modify activities as needed. I eventually started walking at Matheson Hammock again. Different time, different route. Find new activities. I joined a grief support group that does monthly social activities. Recognize that joy and grief can coexist. Feeling happy doesn't dishonor Margaret's memory. Where I am now, 13 months later. 13 months after Margaret died, I'm in a different place. I'm not over it. You don't get over losing someone you loved for 48 years. But I'm functioning. I'm no longer in crisis. I'm no longer waking up every morning wishing I hadn't. I'm no longer going entire days without speaking to another person. I'm no longer sitting in darkness, avoiding the world. Physically, I've regained weight. I'm back to 170 pounds, which is healthier. I'm taking my medications regularly. I see Dr. Ortiz quarterly, and my health markers are stable. I walk daily at Matheson Hammock Park. Early mornings, new route. But I'm walking again. I've even returned to the gym at the Biltmore Hotel in Coral Gables, something Margaret and I used to do together. It was hard at first, but the routine helps. Emotionally, I'm in weekly therapy with Dr. Ramirez. I attend a grief support group at Kendall Baptist Church every Tuesday evening. Those Tuesday evenings have become lifelines. Being with other people who truly understand what this feels like, who don't judge the bad days, who celebrate small victories like getting out of bed or going to the grocery store. I've reconnected with friends, slowly, carefully. My poker group welcomed me back without questions or pressure. I have dinner with my daughter monthly when she drives down from Orlando. We talk about Margaret now without me falling apart. I'm not isolated anymore. Financially, I stabilized things. I sold the house, which I regret but can't undo, and bought a smaller condo in Pinecrest that feels manageable. I got independent financial advice from a fee-only advisor at Coral Gables Wealth Management, extricated myself from the terrible annuity, losing money but escaping worse losses, and rebuilt a sensible financial plan. I'm not wealthy, but I'm stable and won't run out of money. I'm doing activities again. I rejoined the Coral Gables Library, and I'm reading again. Slowly, but I'm reading. I attend occasional concerts at the Adrienne Arsht Center. I volunteer weekly at the Miami Rescue Mission sorting donations. Helping others gives me purpose when I feel purposeless. I'm engaging with life again, one small step at a time. Am I happy? Not yet. But I'm no longer actively dying. I'm no longer making destructive decisions. I'm no longer isolated and hopeless. I'm rebuilding slowly. Some days are still terrible. Holidays, Margaret's birthday, our anniversary. But most days now are manageable. That's progress. My message to you: if you've recently lost a spouse, please learn from my mistakes. Don't isolate yourself. Stay connected, even minimally. Don't neglect your health. Maintain basic routines. Take medications. See doctors. Don't make major financial decisions for at least a year. Wait. Get multiple opinions. Have someone review documents. Don't refuse professional help. Start therapy immediately. Join support groups. Don't leave your spouse's belongings untouched indefinitely. Start gradually sorting after a few months. Don't use alcohol or substances to numb pain. Find healthy coping mechanisms. Don't stop all enjoyable activities. Slowly return to life even when motivation is absent. I'm 71 years old. 13 months ago, I lost my wife of 48 years and nearly destroyed myself through 7 avoidable mistakes. Today, I'm rebuilding. It's slow, it's painful, but it's possible. You don't have to make the same mistakes I did. You don't have to suffer alone. If this story resonates, please comment below. Have you lost a spouse? What mistakes did you make or avoid? What helped you survive? What are you struggling with right now? Let's support each other. Hit subscribe for honest conversations about grief, loss, rebuilding after tragedy, and surviving the darkest times. Drop a like if this helped. It helps others find support. Share with anyone grieving, or anyone who knows someone grieving. Remember, grief is universal, but you don't have to face it alone. Reach out, accept help, stay connected. You can survive this. I'm proof of that.